That was my biggest fear because I wanted it so bad that I was going to come in and they were going to say, no, you can't have it done. But
yeah, that's probably one of my biggest questions as well. Is you know, I'm so blind. There's no way that I can be a candidate, but we don't know what that is until you do have a patient that is a -20, or I'm sure you've seen maybe even higher than that.
Well,
Um,
everyone tends to find it hard to believe that someone could be more nearsighted than they are, you know, because that's your whole context of is just what you've experienced,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah.
I guess what is the I guess the maximum that you can go? What's the range that LASIK can treat someone's vision?
Well,
I'm sure there's people out there that are like, literally, they're like, I'm too blind that it's not going to impact.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there are limits. Usually we tend to treat about 10 diopters is the most of nearsightedness, and up to about 3 or 3.5 of farsightedness, and we can treat up to 6 diopters of astigmatism. But if your cornea is not thick enough, you know, then we can't do a full LASIK treatment. We may have to go to a surface treatment or a lens implant. So it's not just the number; it has to be the number, you know, with your measurements in mind. In other words, is there enough thickness to do a treatment based on your measurements? Someone could have a high treatment but have a really thick cornea, and they could be able to have a full treatment.
Mm-hmm.
But you could have a moderate treatment but have a really thin cornea, maybe there wouldn't be enough tissue left. So that's why the exam is so important, and that's why I like to be involved in the planning, because you know, if you go someplace and you're not meeting the surgeon, you know, and you know the planning is being done maybe by an optometrist or someone who, you know, is not going to really do the surgery, you could maybe, you know, get some information that may not be, you know, valid.
So Dr. Pepos, I mean, this kind of started with the idea that the young adults, I would say 18 to 30, kind of that age range. Really, probably most of our patients are actually older than that. If we had to do a demographic study in terms of LASIK, I'm not sure. Maybe you've studied that, but I would say probably 30 to 50 is more in terms of actual volume of patients. But why, you know, the 18 to 30, and we love to see them. And when someone calls me when they're 19 years old, I've been thinking about it. We always say come in. Why is that? Why is the young adult such a great candidate for LASIK?
Well, I think it's a variety of reasons. One is when you're young, you heal really quickly. You know, when you think about body performance, like vision, hearing, you peak at around age 21 or 22. You know, if you think about athletes, usually athletic performance is in that range. You don't see that many pro athletes at age 40 or 45, right? And so your visual performance also is peaking. And you know, you have, of course, the reason we like it is you have the benefit of the surgery for so many years when you have it done when you're young. You know, when we do LASIK on someone 50, and we say, look, you know, in 10 years or 15 years, you may develop cataracts, and you're going to lose the effect of the LASIK. And constantly, you know, what people say to me is, gee, why didn't I do it 5 years ago? Why didn't I do it 10 years ago? I would have had that whole period of time, you know, to benefit. Instead, I've been putting contacts in and, you know, getting ulcers and infections and, you know, all the problems with contact lenses. And you know, they've withdrawn some solutions. You know, so I think people don't realize that you'd have the benefit of your whole life having it done early.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you find that younger people as well, the visual outcome is different? I mean, it's probably less complex in terms of planning the procedure.
I think that, you know, also you're at an age where the eye muscles are strong, the lens is still very flexible. You have both near and far. We don't have to get into issues of monovision and this, you know, which do you want? Because at your age, you get it all. You get, you know, perfect, you know, distance, perfect near, and everything in between. And you know, I think it's just, I think for most people, it's the fear factor, you know, and I hear it all the time. You know, if it's only my eyes, or was any other part of my body, I wouldn't be worried. But that's true for everyone. I mean, everyone, no matter what you like to do, what your, you know, your vocation or your avocation, everyone uses their eyes, right? I mean, there's no one on earth who isn't dependent on their eyes for, you know, most people say it's the most precious sense. And, you know, we appreciate the trust that people put on us to, you know, to do this kind of thing, because we realize how important it is. And, you know.
So bottom line, I suppose, is for those watching us talk and watching this in the future is come in. I mean, come in and you'll be able to talk directly to the doctor and he can give you an honest appraisal. I mean, that's, here's what you mentioned. I mean, we don't perform the procedure on everybody that walks in the door. We do turn people away or offer other solutions. I mean, that's the great thing about Pepos Vision Institute is all of the different types of services we offer. But what we won't do is tell you that you're a good candidate if you're not, or make it into something more than, less than what it is, which is surgery.
Right. And everyone, we've heard from almost everybody here is word of mouth. I mean, most people have, come here because you heard of us, either our reputation or someone who's had it done, you had a family member, a relative. And it doesn't benefit anyone for us to operate on someone who's not a good candidate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we would much rather say, no, you're not a good candidate and disappoint someone on the front end than disappoint them on the other side of surgery and say, you really weren't a good candidate. We pushed the envelope, and now, everyone's sorry. So we're not afraid to tell someone, unfortunately, you're just not a good candidate for the procedure. Fortunately, most young people are, but a lot of the reasons we go through that 2-hour exam is we're doing so many tests and so many screenings, to be sure that, someone doesn't, have a keratoconus or a condition that precludes LASIK, or how thick is the cornea? Are you going to be able to have the whole procedure? So we're actually, we try to be very conservative in finding ideal candidates.